Welcome back. In the previous video, we learned how to create an Orca input file for a combined geometry optimization and frequency calculation. And while discussing the output file, we also learned the procedure for calculating the total number of primitive Gaussian functions and contracted basis functions which are involved in the calculation. Taking acetone as an example, we'll continue the discussion on the output file, which will be about frequency calculation. So in case of geometry optimization calculation, for a given geometry and with a given set of basis functions, the software first create a trial wave function and then they apply a self-consistent field approach to improve the trial wave function so that it has minimum possible energy for that particular given geometry. And once they have the converged wave function, then they compute the total energy. With the total energy, then they take the gradient of this energy. If I scroll downward, you'll see a section. Yes, that's there. Orca self-consistent field gradient calculation. So gradient of energy will give you the force on each atom. So depending upon the force, there will be displacement of the atom from its original position. They'll go to the next geometry. So in a geometry optimization calculation, they lay down some convergence criteria. If the force on each atom is below a minimum value and the displacement of atom due to that force is below a minimum value, then only there will be convergence. So in this case, in step 1, we don't get that convergence criteria fulfilled. So that's why the optimization has not converged. More geometry cycles are needed. So based on the force, there will be displacement. They'll go to next possible structure. So that's the molecular specification for the next possible geometry. Again, they'll repeat the same thing. They will get a wave function for this particular geometry by self-consistent field approach. Then they'll compute the gradient, that is the force on each atom, and based on that again there will be displacement, and then keep on repeating. Again in the cycle 2, the convergence criteria were not met. To check whether you get that final converged structure or not, simply go to the search menu and then in find type hooray. If you get this message, then only you'll get this particular table with all yes sign. So in this case, the convergence criteria were met. The energy change were below the minimum value, force were below a minimum value, the displacement were below a minimum value, and you got an optimized geometry. Once you have optimized geometry, then it will do frequency calculation. So note, in Orca, if a geometry optimization does not converge within a maximum number of cycles, Orca will not go on to do a frequency calculation. I've got another output file with such error message. You can see here, the optimization did not converge but reached the maximum number of optimization cycles. As a result, frequency calculations were aborted. The reason is, you can see here, the convergence criteria were not met. Even after the maximum number of allowed cycles, by default, the value is 50. So after 50 cycles, in this case, we do not get all the convergence criteria fulfilled, and therefore we got this particular message. But that's not the case with the acetone molecule. All the convergence criteria were met, and that's why we'll go to the next step. Now, in the theory section, in the second lecture, we lay down the typical workflow for a quantum chemistry calculation. That is, for a given geometry with a given basis set, they do self-consistent field calculation. They repeat that, and ultimately they get the optimized geometry. Once you have the optimized geometry, they go for the frequency calculation. And in the frequency calculation, what they do, because the first derivative of energy will give you the force, and the gradient of force will give you the force constant. Means the force constants are obtained from second derivatives of energy. The terminology they use, Hessian. So this Hessian is given by this particular expression, which is double derivative of energy with respect to the coordinate. So once you have that force constant, you can calculate the frequency of the vibration. If there are total n number of atoms, 30 degrees of freedom. Out of that, 6 will correspond to translational rotational degree of freedom. So we'll have 3n minus 6 vibrational degrees of freedom. Then 3n minus 6 vibrational frequencies. So if I go to our job, acetone, acetone has 10 atoms. 10 atoms means total 30 degrees of freedom. So in Orca, you can see there is a section, if I scroll downward, section with the name Hessian. Further downward, yes, this Orca SCF Hessian calculation, where they take the double derivative of energy, which will give you the force constant, and you'll get force constant for, look at that table, the first 6, but in Orca, remember the numbering starts from 0. So 0 to 5, that's the first 6 which corresponds to translational rotation. That's why no frequency value. That's a wave number. The numbering starts from 6 onward till 29. So in this case, 6 is actually 7 and 29th is 30th. The total, if I scroll further downward, there is a table where there's frequency, that's a wave number, and the corresponding intensity. The total number of vibrational considered is 24. So that is 30 minus 6 is 24. So number 6, actually that is number 7, and 29 is actually number 30. So from 7 to 30th, that's the complete table of wave number with the corresponding intensity. Note, here intensity corresponds to how much there is change in dipole moment during the vibration. With the displacement, how much is the change in the vibration, that corresponds to intensity. In turn, that corresponds to epsilon, which can be related to the absorbance. The absorbance is epsilon Ca. But note, Orca does not give you the absolute value of the absorbance. But we are mainly interested in the relative peaks of the spectrum. So let's plot this. So how to plot? Go back to Avogadro, open Avogadro, and then open output file in this Avogadro. I'll go to file menu, open in the desktop, got a folder with the name test and acetone, and then open the output file. Okay, you got a table of wave number and the corresponding intensity. And you can, that's the acetone molecule. And if you click on this show spectrum, you get that as spectrum. But surprisingly, you're getting a value with the one corresponding to the maximum intensity is around some in between 1900 to 2000 centimeter inverse. Let me see what does that peak corresponds to. So that's this one. If I go downward, this is the one with the maximum intensity. If I click on this like this and click on start animation, it will show you the vibration also. That corresponds to CO bond stretching. But we know that typical CO bond stretching wave number is around 1750 centimeter inverse. It means the spectrum which we got for acetone using Hartree-Fock method has used deviation from a typical experimental value. The reason for deviation is the neglect of coalescent energy in Hartree-Fock method. So you have to look for a method which takes into account the coalescent energy along with the exchange energy. And one of the method which is currently in much demand is your DFT, density functional theory. So I've done a calculation. Let me close this first. Let's discard this. So let me, I've already done a calculation using DFT for the same molecule. So we'll have complete discussion on density functional theory in the next two modules. I'll just show you the input file corresponding to a DFT calculation. So in DFT, two important keywords are required. That is information regarding the basis set and the exchange correlation functional. What does this mean? You'll get an idea about that in the next two modules. So you have done the same calculation, optimizing plus frequency using the same basis set. And the result, which I got, let me plot it directly in Avogadro. So go to File, Open, then in the desktop, test folder, I have a folder with the name DFT acetone. And let me open the output file. So that's again the frequency versus intensity table. And I can see that the one which corresponds to maximum intensity has value in the range of 1780, that is 1784 to more precise. If I select this particular mode of vibration, again, let me show you the spectra also. So we got a peak with the maximum intensity in the region of around 1800 centimeter inverse, less than 1800 centimeter inverse. And let me start the animation. Yes, this particular peak corresponds to the carbonyl stretching, C double bond was stretching. So with the DFT, you are getting a spectrum which is very much closer to the experimental value. In addition to IR spectrum, the other two useful informations which we get from frequency calculation, one is the information regarding the nature of the stationary point. Note, if all the frequency values are positive, then our optimized geometry corresponds to a local minima. But if one of the value is negative, it corresponds to a transition state, that is saddle point. A complete description is there in the theory section in this present module. In our case, we got all the values positive. It means our optimized geometry for the acetone molecule, the final optimized geometry, corresponds to a local minima. So in addition to the information regarding stationary point, another very useful information which we get from frequency calculation is the thermochemistry. We get all important thermodynamic quantities at standard condition, that is temperature 298.15 Kelvin, pressure 1 atmosphere. And for doing that computation, they do some assumptions, the standard assumptions, that is the equations used in the calculation are standard statistical mechanics equation for an ideal gas, and they assume the vibration to be strictly harmonic. Till now, in absence of frequency calculation, we used to get this particular energy, that's the electronic energy, that is the sum of kinetic energy of electron, then potential energy due to the nucleus electron interaction, electron interaction, and the nucleus interaction. So that was the kinetic energy. The sum of these three, the potential energy. But once you do the frequency calculation, we get additional information to the total internal energy. That is information about the 0 point energy. That's energy at 0 Kelvin. So there's a 0 temperature vibrational energy from the frequency calculation. Then energy due to the vibrational motion. And then the energy due to rotational motion and translational motion. Remember that value? Rotational and translational, each one is 3/2 RT. Since we are taking the unit kilocalorie per mole, so 3/2 RT will be 3/2 into 1.98 into 10 power minus 3. That's the value of the gas constant, universal gas constant, multiplied by 298.15. So 3/2 into 1.98 into 10 power minus 3 into 298.15 will get this value 0.89 kilocalorie per mole. Same for the translational motion. So the total thermal correction is the sum of these three, which is 3.33 kilocalorie per mole. The total non-thermal correction to the total internal energy is 55.62. So if you sum this, you'll get this value as the total internal energy. Clear? So once you have the internal energy, once you have this internal energy, you can calculate enthalpy. Formula H is U plus PV. And for 1 mole, PV will be equal to, for 1 mole ideal gas, PV will be equal to RT. For 1 molecule, that will be KT. Since the unit is kilocalorie per mole, so you are taking the value RT. So RT will be 1.98 into 10 power minus 3 into 298.15. You'll get this value 0.59 kilocalorie per mole. So that's the thermal correction to the internal energy to obtain the enthalpy. So that's how you get the enthalpy. So this value plus that RT, you'll get the enthalpy. And once you have enthalpy, finally our target will be to obtain Gibbs free energy. But for Gibbs free energy, once you have the enthalpy, you need this value of temperature into entropy. Now, they compute entropy by some standard method. That's the reference for computing the rotational entropy. That's the reference for computing the vibrational entropy. So once they multiply with temperature, you get all these corrections due to the entropy. That's the correction due to TS, electronic energy, vibrational energy, rotational energy, and translation energy. That's all you use in statistical thermodynamics. And for rotational, you look also for the symmetry. You can see that value. They're using 7.19 kilocalorie. So that's for this particular symmetry, you get the 7.19 kilocalorie. So that's a standard table from which you get that value. Once you have entropy, you multiply with the temperature, you get that TS value, and you subtract this temperature into entropy from the enthalpy, you will get the free energy. So that's the total 21.51 is the value of temperature into entropy. You subtracted that 21.51 to this enthalpy, you get the Gibbs free energy. So that's very important values which we get from the frequency calculus. So 1, IR spectrum, 2nd, nature of the stationary point, and 3rd, thermochemistry. That's for today's session. Good day.